Good morning, folks. Triple Crown here, coming to you from Vancouver, British Columbia. This is a Round 7 summary, Operation SF, San Francisco. We will pan quickly over to the U.S. forces that are currently sitting in San Francisco. The United States did decide to build a major IC there. San Francisco is now safe. I mean, is this ever going to happen in real life? British and Canadian tank helping with the liberation of San Francisco, driving all the way from the East Coast? Unlikely. But hey, this is a game, so San Francisco is safe. The U.S. built a major IC. The Japanese Navy is sitting in Hawaii, and they have 22 units. Along the seaboard here, west coast of Canada is now safe. There's about 12 units there and a bunch of units in follow-up. So that's safe. Well, where is the U.S. Navy? We will actually, because it's kind of part of the story, so we will pan over. Well, the United States built a what did it build? An air base. So the entire Navy is over here with a scramble. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens there. The Japanese can take them out, but the U.S. does have a follow-up. They built 3 fighters, a medium bomber, and about 5 cheap boats to come. The Americans did reinforce Panama in 2 armor and I think 4 infantry. So you can't really kind of see it, but that's kind of what's happening there. The British are also prepared to come down and liberate it if they need to. So they've got a Portuguese fighter in Washington and a couple of transports up here and up here, so they can bring some units down. Over here in South America, a little bit of a standoff now. The Germans did annex Chile last round. Not really a big deal. We will head back over into the Pacific, and why I believe the Japanese are in trouble in this game kind of swings back and forth. Well, the Japanese did send some boats over towards Hawaii, but you know, America next turn with their major IC, they're going to build Navy there next turn. If Japan could take the American Navy out, the Americans kind of want them to do it because it'll be mutual destruction. And even if Japan comes out on top, America has a follow-up, and Japan has a very small follow-up. So that's what's happening there. But also here, this multinational navy of the Royal Dutch, Anzac, and the British, or I guess Far East Command, is just massive. There's over 20 units here, and the Japanese Navy here sitting off of Shanghai is about half that size. So Japan did build some more submarines last turn. However, where Japan is now in trouble is that their economy, now they've been pushed off of North America, and they don't have much going on down here. They have the Philippines, they have Hong Kong, but they have not been able to take Singapore or any of the Money Islands yet, and they likely won't be able to, but their economy is only at 54. So that is a problem. Just to put it in perspective, the FEC economy is 43 last turn. The Anzac economy is 23 or 22. The Canadian economy is 15, and the U.S. economy minus they're still getting convoyed for 15, but still in the 90s. That now they have most of South America under control. Over here, the fight in Asia continues, and it is a little bit of a standoff happening simply because the British have sort of come in here and basically formed a trap for the Japanese to keep pushing. So are you going to see the Japanese now try and focus on one of these nations now, whether it's the FEC or the KMT, to try and at least take one of them out? The Russians, they are going to have over 20 IPP to spend next turn, and they have about 6 units back here in Novosibirsk. But it's not looking all wonderful for the Allies. That's the Pacific side. The Atlantic side is looking very different. The Germans have about 25 units heading towards Cairo, or they could head towards Calcutta. I guess I'll have to make that decision. They've got their complement of their entire Air Force, and the British do have a defense, but it's about half that size. So they're going to have to retreat out of the Middle East, and when the Germans get into the Middle East, that is going to be problematic for the Allies because the Germans are going to become even wealthier than they are. The Italians did paradrop. That's an airborne, Italian airborne infantry, and they've got one tank left and a medium bomber sitting in Moscow. So the British do know they will be losing Cairo eventually, so they're eventually going to have to pull their navy out of the Med, probably. Otherwise it's going to get trapped, and they have already pulled their transports out. And they continue to build infantry here in Africa, their military base in Belgian Congo, and the Anzac military base in Ethiopia. The Germans now are flew 2 air transports down to Tobruk. So the Germans now have 4 ground units and 1 fighter and 2 air transports in Tobruk. So it's happening, folks. The push towards Cairo is happening. Look at this German Navy up here. This combined Swedish, Finnish. It's going to be a problem. A couple of U-boats sitting here. And what are the Allies going to do in the Pacific? The British now, they built 10 infantry in Liverpool last turn, so they are bulking up London for an eventual Sea Lion, if that's what Germany wants to do. The Germans cleaned up Spain, so they now control all of Spain and Portugal. So that's what's happening there. So it's going to be interesting. What happens next turn? Do the Japanese, as was suggested by Warhammer, do they amalgamate their navy over here on the Carolines and push the Anzac, British, and Royal Dutch Navy into hiding so they can grab some of the money islands and get rich? But the Japanese economy, like I said, is at 54 IPP. That is a problem. So time will tell, folks, and stay tuned.